In this interview today, I am sitting down with David Stelzer, who is the owner of Azure Standard. They have a lot of organic and non-GMO products. I've got David on here to tell us all about the company. If you would like to join and have them deliver to an area near you, I'm going to put some information in the description below. David, I want to thank you so much for being here. And if you would tell us a little bit about yourself and how the company got started.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Hello to all your listeners here. Well, Azure Standard is kind of an extension originally of my lifestyle and our farm is how it got started. When I was a very young child, I was very, very sickly. The doctors didn't think I was going to survive. My parents didn't want to accept that, so they looked for alternative health care. Finally found a naturopath. From major diet changes, I was able to regain my health. Interestingly enough, when we did that, my grandparents also did some of that, and my grandfather, who had been retired for health reasons for like 15, 20 years already, went back to work because he got well too. We became pretty sold, or my parents did more than me. I was pretty young still, on diet as an important part of our health journey. A few years later, my dad realized that he was a farmer, and a lot of the stuff that he was putting on his soil were the same chemicals that were causing the health issues in the food. So he said, well, I guess hey, we can change it, but at least I can change it on my farm. And he switched to organic production. This is in 1973, way before it was cool. Fast forwarding for the next, quite a few years, he had a contract. He was actually friends with Bob Moore that founded Bob's Red Mill. And so he was actually Bob's farmer for quite a few years. And then Bob, his primary customer was Fred Meyer's, which is a Kroger's brand now. Wasn't quite yet then, but anyway, they decided they didn't want that expensive organic stuff anymore, and they kicked Bob out with the organics, but they let him keep his conventional stuff in. And so Bob ended up not having a market anymore. I was young and stupid at that point, and decided that hey, somebody had to be buying this stuff. And, if we were going to stay viable, we need to find a new market. I went out and got some grain. Well, it was mostly grain at the time, wheat and rye and things like that. And so I went out and got some custom processed and got some ground into flour. And I started calling on health food stores, food co-ops, different kinds of even grocery stores, and pitched my grain and flour. It was kind of a little bit different thing because, hey, we were selling it by the truckload, by the semi-load, our grain. Now they're saying, well, I'll take 5 bags a week. It's like, oh, well, it's going to take us a long time to get through 50,000 bushel of rye on that. But I guess so instead of saying no, I said, yes, I'll do that. But then I said, hey, how about every other week? And then I made these little routes. And I made a little route down. I don't know if you're familiar with the Northwest, but we're in Dufur. So I went down to Bend, Eugene, Portland one week, and then I went to Yakima, Tri-Cities, over to Seattle and down the next week and delivered these things just in my pickup. I started out with friends and family, but people started asking me, hey, when you're in Portland or you're in Seattle or you're in Bend or whatever, can you pick up this or that for me and bring it to me? This is like in Ellensburg or somewhere that's kind of out and away from those areas. And so, yeah, sure. I'll stop by there next time and get that. After a year or two of that, I decided, huh, you know what? It seems like maybe this is a thing. People need this. So I put together this little catalog of things people had asked for frequently, and I thought maybe people would like. It was like 4 pages. It was a little tiny paper catalog. Obviously, it had my grain in it for as well and flour, but just a few items that people had kept asking me for. And that's kind of how Azure was born. That was when I came up with the name, Azure Standard. And that was our very first catalog. I mean, it was very crude, just did it on a word processor before computers were even invented. I think, well, not completely, before they were affordable. And that was in about 1987, 80, yeah, late 87. Went down up and down the West Coast, eventually moved in the Dakotas, and now we're delivering in all 50 states.
That's amazing. So there is probably a drop near you, and if not, someone can start a drop. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We're always welcoming new drops. As far as expense goes, I could not give people a good deal if I was delivering directly to their home just because of the expense of delivering to every house. We started doing what we call drop points in local communities, and we've been doing this for like 30 years. Basically, somebody in the local community says, "Oh, yeah, you can use my house, my garage, my church, my Grange Hall to drop at anywhere a semi can get in," because we use semis now for delivery for most of it. So, as long as we're making the drop, one drop in a local community, and we can get 10, 20, 30, 50 orders going to that one place, and the folks locally can go pick it up there, we can deliver very, very efficiently, even nationwide. And so then we send the trucks on a regular schedule. Most of the country, at least pretty much all of the east part of the country, we do every 4 weeks, seems to be the sweet spot. On the West Coast here, we do a lot of it's weekly, and a few places every other week. Stock up your pantry once a month. But, there are a lot that actually do weekly as well.
The good news is what I noticed is the more you buy, the more you save. As far as that one item, you buy more bulk and then you get to save more money.
And that's a big part of what Azure's mission is to be able to supply healthy food for families. Hey, you can go to Whole Foods and get some pretty decent stuff. Well, maybe not quite as much anymore, but back in the day before Amazon bought them, you could go to Whole Foods and buy some pretty decent food. But it was very expensive in very small packages. And maybe a high income couple might be able to eat that way. But somebody who has a family, once you get, a moderate income or a single income family, where, they have children and sometimes multiple children, it becomes incredibly expensive and hard to feed your family healthy. Well, those children are the next generation, and that's the most important segment of the population to be feeding really healthy is the children. And I know it makes a huge difference in how children are able to react, and all these difficulties that parents have with their kids, all the illnesses and drug abuse and all these different things. The vast majority of that can be traced right back to food and health.
I will say what is very interesting, the first certification program I went through to become a health coach, they are a seminary, actually. That's what they were at first. And then they wanted to start educating and certifying health coaches. And it's a biblical health coach. But they also have a drug and addiction rehabilitation program. And what they found is the thing that made the most difference. We do have to approach the mind, body, and soul, but the thing that made the most difference to keep those addicts from coming back again and to actually give them freedom was to plug in that nutrient aspect. And they have the biggest success rate in the country because of exactly what you're saying.
Healthy body is not going to crave. It's these sugar highs and stuff. When you're eating
Yes,
empty calories, you're pushing your body up into these sugar highs, and then you're crashing down. And I mean, kids, this is just the way they live. So having a different high when they're feeling down and using some kind of street drug to create a much bigger high than the normal sugar high they've already been experiencing for years is just, it's a natural progression.
yes.
Um, and healthy food. So that was a big part of Azure's mission was, hey, folks that are buying larger quantities, filling your pantry, hey, because you have kids at home, you're going to cook healthy, especially single income homes. A lot of times you have a stay-at-home mom, that's her primary focus is to feed the family and to save a little money for the family budget by cooking at home and not going out, to eat every day. That's one of our big missions is to be able to offer better deals. And I will say, I've done the math quite a few times. And if you buy in bulk and you cook at home, you're going to actually eat a lot cheaper than eating the absolute garbage food, highly processed, refined food that is cheap food at, Walmart and Costco and all the places that sell that kind of stuff. You can actually eat cheaper if you're willing to cook at home with organic, real food ingredients, and your family will be that time difference will be more than made up for with
Well, another thing is you spend less money medically. So there's another way to save. So when we have healthy food in the home, then a lot of times we're not having to spend that money on medical needs. There's
I
so
can
many different components and reasons why we want to make sure we get that healthy food in the home. And since we're talking about food, I just have to say, I had a friend who had the figs that you guys have.
Anadria.
Yes. And
Okay.
oh my goodness, they were the best figs I had ever eaten in my entire life. And then you also have the dried cranberries that are sweetened with apple juice, correct?
Apple juice infused organic cranberries. Yes, those are
And that is
quite
not
good.
something easy to find. So they are absolutely delicious. And I eat them by themselves, throw them in my salad, and you can order those in bulk as well. I got my walnuts in bulk because I eat walnuts all the time, and I just threw them in the freezer and I would fill my ball jar full. I go through those things so fast, so I definitely like the the option to be able to stock up and to be able to save the extra money on those, and they were so fresh and so delicious. If you are interested in joining the Azure Standard family and having them delivered to your area, I'm going to put some information in the description below, and I'll also put my Azure Standard haul that I did, because what I noticed for myself is before I made my first order, it just was really helpful for me to kind of see what other people were buying. And then that helped to give me some ideas of what to bring into my own home. And I am getting ready to place another order. And so when I get that order, I'll do another haul just to let you know more things. But you guys have a lot of things that I didn't even know about. So it's not just groceries. You also have some other items. Would you mind kind of talking about some of those other items? Because at first I thought it was just like the big bulk grains. And then I noticed that people were getting like flats of fruits that were in season and things like that. So will you share some of the other items and maybe some household items that you also carry?
Well, as far as the groceries goes, I mean, we do pretty much everything on the grocery side. Maybe some of them, there are certain parts of the country because of the time and distance that we can't sell the super perishable produce, but we can get pretty close. I mean, all the good stuff. I mean, if you want to get, apples, pears, onions, potatoes, all those kinds of produce items, they work wonderfully. Even, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, all those things. Some of that is even off of our own farms. We actually still farm. I mentioned that we started as organic farmers. We still do. We still do some grains, but we do a lot of produce and fruit now as well. We sell a lot of gardening products, including seeds, heirloom seeds, organic seeds. We do plant starts in the spring. You can buy your little garden starts. We do several of really good organic fertilizers that you can buy along with the products. And then another catalog we do is the health and health and beauty type. So that's, some shampoos and, your skin takes stuff in too. So if we're going to use skin products, lotions, shampoos, all those kinds of things, it's really good to know what you're getting. We also have what we call a household catalog. Oh, and back on the health and beauty, we actually just launched our own brand of organic, fully organic Castile soaps. Just so folks are aware of that. I'm pretty proud of that. We spent about 3 years developing that product. But,
I'm so
brought
glad you mentioned that because I make my own products, my own face wash and things like that. And that's my base. And so it's very important to me. And I did not know that. So I'm glad you mentioned it. I'm
we have
also
an
glad that
uns
you mentioned the garden seeds.
we have an
I didn't know that.
unscented Castile soap that works wonderful for that base.
Nice.
So
There's nothing like when you wash your face and it also smells good.
there you go.
So exciting. But it was just the other day. I don't even remember how I heard, but that you had garden seeds, and I did not know that. So I am a
Yeah, I
garden.
think I 100%, our goal is to, healthy families and growing it in your garden. I mean, I can't supply you anything from across the country that's better than what you can grow in your own garden, no matter how good it is when it leaves. Going out and picking your own stuff and eating it right out of your garden is the very best. So I want to support gardeners as much as absolutely possible. Yeah, we have 3 different brands of seeds, including one of our own. Our own seeds are all grown on our own farm. These are our family favorites. We grow all those seeds here. None of them are bought off the farm. We don't buy them and package them.
Okay, guys, I'm going to have a big haul next. So you'll get to watch the big Azure Standard haul and then know what you would like to purchase.
And then the fifth one is the nutritional supplements. So we also do a smattering of nutritional supplements. We just about a year ago, we actually launched a line of Azure Well that's our own formulas. We're not actually making those in house. We're using actually about 4 or 5 different companies to make them for us. But they are our formulas and they're taught, they're the best of the best when it comes to absolutely whole food supplements
Good to
because
know.
I am not a big believer, even though some of the other supplements that we sell from other brands have some, shall we say, synthetic vitamins, like ascorbic acid is a synthetic, but our stuff under our line has no synthetics and no fillers.
Good to know.
So anyway, so we're going to be building that out over the course of the next few years as well, but we do. So that's the fifth. So that's how our catalog is separated out. If you want them all, it's 5 of them. And then we do have one that's just called Azure Brands, but that's a duplicate of stuff that's in all the other catalogs. But these are all the things that we have put our name on, that we have vetted super closely because we do distribute a lot of other people's stuff as well. And that is as good as those companies are. We vet them as best that we possibly can. But when we actually put our name on something, that's a whole different standard.
It lines up with my values and what I teach. That's why I wanted to do this interview with you and just let people know because not everyone has heard of you. And so we just have to get the word out.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're trying to we're growing quickly, but we want to be able to touch as many families as we possibly can. And and you mentioned, what does it actually do for your family? And I mean, I can give my testimony for eating healthy. See, I was the super sickly kid. My wife was not much better. I mean, she was one of those kids that had surgery when she was a child and all the issues that are from the common American diet. But we made a commitment to be purists as far as our eating habit was. When we got married, we decided, hey, we're purists. I had already had to be kind of a purist, but we're eating clean. There is no refined food. There is no, white sugar. There's no, very little sugar of any sort, but definitely no refined sugars of any sort in our diet. There's nothing, that you can't pronounce. That just doesn't. doesn't live here, and we're gonna, and later we moved to 100% organic. We became, got our health back by doing that. But more interestingly, it definitely wasn't genetics, but we ended up having 11 children together, and we never had one that was ill enough to require the care of a doctor, other than one broken femur. Other than that, we none of our kids, while they were in our household, none of them were ever saw a doctor. And I won't say that that's completely because, some people would have, we've had little things that people would have taken their kids to the doctor for, maybe. But, we also, learned how to do basic herbal medicine. And so by doing basic herbal medicine, you're able to treat all the normal stuff, right? People ask, "Oh, who's your primary care physician?" Oh, yeah, yeah. None of our kids ever even saw a doctor, let alone had a primary care physician. This didn't happen. And
Your story sounds very similar to mine. And when I was asked who is your physician, it's a chiropractor, actually.
okay,
That was our first line of defense, but we didn't even need that very often because of how we were feeding our children. And so I would say that we're a lot alike in that area and definitely like the purest term, which is how I teach people because that is the good life. When we feel good, we do good. And when we eat good, we feel good. And so it's just all tied
yeah, life begets
together.
life. Life begets life. The healthier we are, the easier it is to become healthier. The sicker
Yes.
we are, the easier it is to become sick.
Yes.
Um, I kind of, raising our family, and maybe you experienced the same thing. I mean, it was kind of rough and tumble, right? I mean, nobody, I mean, we weren't helicopter parents. I mean, they did all the stuff. I mean, they climbed the tallest trees. They rode the fastest four-wheelers and motorbikes. They did, you know, uh,
They were allowed
you
to be
know,
kids.
they did all the kid stuff. Did they ever fall out of the tree? Yes, they did. But, nobody really got hurt. I
Right.
mean, if they did get hurt, it wasn't anything that, arnica and maybe a couple of butterflies and some golden seal and nutribiotic couldn't fix, right? Because they were active and climbing all those trees, it was healthier anyway because now they had, oxygen, all that stuff.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough,
Such a
even
big
though
difference.
I'm about as unathletic as possible, I ended up having two of my children become college athletes. And it wasn't because they're necessarily athletic per se, but they had an unfair advantage. They had healthy bodies, and all their competitors, for the most part, they didn't. And so they were able to compete. One of them went on to, the national college level championship.
Well, that's what this platform is all about. It's to help educate people all the things to build optimal health because we don't want a diet where we're just, doing something today. We want a lifestyle. And these foods and these household products and these garden seeds and these supplements that you're talking about, this is all part of it. So nice that we can go shop and get it all in one place. And by ordering it once a month, you're not having to be in and out of the grocery store all the time. That's a big time saver too. And when we save time, to me, saving time is money.
Don't necessarily buy a bunch of stuff because it sounds good that you've never really heard of before right out of the gate. Now, we want to move you that direction, of course. I'd much rather, instead of, doing, our organic unbleached white flour, that you go to the organic whole spelt flour or something slight, hey, that's the direction that we want to move you eventually. But right now, get the certified organic whole wheat all-purpose unbleached flour. It instead of the bleach stuff that you get from the supermarket. It's
Right.
not
There's
that much more
steps,
expensive.
taking the steps. We really want you milling your own grain, which is what I teach. And I have
That's
some
right.
tutorials about that. But we do have to just take small steps to get there. We don't want you overwhelmed.
Yeah,
Does
once you
make a
get
big difference.
into milling your own grain, then you can use all the ancient grains and all that. And that's where you get real. awesome results. The results really start happening.
Game
And
changer for sure. And I mean, to me, it's fun. So,
it
yeah, I
is.
have classes that help break it down so it's not so overwhelming. And it's just so rewarding because there's just so many benefits. But, if you're not ready for that, that's okay. But just like you said, we're just going to move in those directions. And that is what I teach people is we don't have to give up what we're eating. We just make those healthy swaps, like you said, instead of the Skippy peanut butter, we're going to order the organic peanut butter. And it's really simple. We're really after flavor and texture, and healthy food gives you that. So what we need is nutrients. So we want those attached as well. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here and kind of break some of this down and share your story. And I know that everybody is really going to appreciate that. And I will put information in the description below about how you can place your first order. And also, there is a code that you can use to save money on your first order as a first time customer. And I'll put that information in there as well. And David, is there anything else that you would like to share with the viewers before we go?
one thing to think about when you're, getting your Azure order. You find your local drop point, and that's there. She'll probably put that link in there, but there's a little link in the header that says find it, or in the footer that says find a drop on the website, brings up a map, and you can just zoom in wherever you want. But one of the really cool things is you get to meet with a whole bunch of like-minded people that really care about their family's health in some way in your local community. So there's some great relationships that can be made as a part of the Azure experience.
That's right. And in the video that I'm going to share below in my haul, I wanted to show you me picking it up so you can kind of see what that looks like and taking it home and breaking it down. So watch that video and you'll also get some information on the things that I did order that time. And like I said, I'm going to do another one so that you'll have new products that you can explore. And this time it's going to be a little bit bigger, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. So again, David, thank you so much for your time and for being here. And I do want to tell you guys, I am a nutrition and wellness coach, and I do have programs that you can go through to learn how to have optimal health, how to prevent disease, and even overcome. I will put that information in the description below. You're going to have a lot of stuff in the description below with a link on where you can find out about those. Very rewarding and just breaking down nutritionally, spiritually, because we want to do this thing as a lifestyle, not be on the diet roller coaster. We don't have to be in a lane. We can eat all the foods. We just want to make sure, like David said, that you're a purist and that you're doing it clean and doing it the right way. And those are some of the things that I walk you through in my program so that it's not so overwhelming and you do the small habit change, just like what David was talking about when you're doing those swaps in your home. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. It really means a lot to me. If you will share this information with those that you know would appreciate hearing it, that really does help my channel a lot. And also by leaving a comment. And hey, if you're already an Azure Standard customer, would you please in the comments maybe list some of your favorite items so others can read those as well? I know that we enjoy learning from each other. You guys have a great day.